record on this computer. All right, we're good. Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm here with Alex from Playing with Fire. This dude is the ultimate guide. He's the guru of Tinder. Is that how you describe yourself, bro?
I think that's a good way to describe it. I don't mind that title.
He's the guru of Tinder. Him and I connected recently. We did we talked for like a solid 2 hours the other day on your channel. So make sure you guys head over there and check out his channel. I've always seen you talked about, whenever, cause I'm the pickup dude, right? I've posted infields for years. I've taught cold approach pickup, and guys say to me, what about online? What do you do with online? And like, I was on Tinder way back in the day, but they say, yeah, for my online shit, I always go over to Playing with Fire. So I've always heard about you over the years. So one of the first things that I like to ask my guests whenever I bring somebody onto the podcast or anything is, tell us about how you lost your virginity.
Oh shit! Still starting things off good.
I just like to get real, dude. Yeah.
When I was 19 on a beach in Mexico, wasted as fuck.
Oh shit!
To a girl who, let's just say, had a few extra pounds on her.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, dude. I was. It was a fucking struggle for me. I mean, dude, I spent like, probably right around 16, 17. I was like, you know what? I want to lose my virginity, and then it took me a solid 2 years to accomplish that. I was like I remember my freshman year of college, I was going to like every single party. I had a fake ID, was going to every single bar, still not getting laid. Like, just fucking, like, I was putting in the fucking hours, and I just sucked balls at the time. So, yeah, it took me a bit.
So were you at that age? I mean, like, did you know about pickup? Was that how did you start looking into that shit? Or you were just like, I need to know where I got to go where girls are and I got to get wasted.
I thought I was the only one that had problems meeting girls. Nah, I was like, I wouldn't have even like said that to my closest friends. I thought I was like the only weird one. Yeah, I didn't discover pickup until I was 22 when I read The Game. And when I remember I read that book in one sitting. Like, I fucking picked it up, didn't fucking get up until I finished reading it 6 hours later.
I was driving around delivering pizzas when I discovered The Game, and I listened to that book. It's like 9 hours, I think. And I busted it out like in 2 shifts, right? I think that's a lot of people's stories. They just couldn't stop listening or reading that book. Looking back on that book, I'm not really like that big of a fucking fan of it, to be honest with you, but it's, yeah, but it's cool.
It fucking blew my mind at the time. At the time, I thought it was the craziest shit ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, dope, man. That's what's up. So you were wasted on the beach in Mexico, and did you try? How were you overall with chicks in the early days? Like, not so much even like I'm trying to fuck, like all of that, but just like in general, did you have female friends? Did you have like girls that were somewhat interested in you, maybe in high school or what?
Yeah, I had female friends, and I just got friend zoned a lot, honestly, because I had a really hard time. First of all, I didn't know female psychologists. I didn't know what girls actually want. Like, I didn't know that girls like a man who can lead. So to me, it was like, well, this girl is not making out with me, so she's probably not interested. That was like my mindset at the time. Secondly, I just missed a lot of opportunities. Like, I remember freshman year of college, I had this chick who I love telling the story. This chick who I liked, she was part of our like little friend group, and she was hanging out in our dorm. She lived in a different dorm. And then she's like, yeah, it's getting late. She's like, I might just crash here, when her dorm was like a 5-minute walk away. So and then all my friends, it was mainly dudes in our friend group. They're like, oh, why don't you stay with me? Let's call her Nancy. So why don't you stay with me, Nancy? And she's like, oh, you know what? I think I'm just going to crash at Alex's. Alex said it was cool earlier. I was like, I did? Oh, okay. And then so we get inside my dorm room, and then like they're all like winking at me, like, yeah, man. We get inside my dorm room, and I had no idea. Like, I still at that time did not know this chick who wanted to smash. So I was like, okay, so you want me to set you up on the floor, or I think we'll be okay on your bed, Alex. I'm like, okay. So we get into bed, and I can tell she's just waiting. And I'm just like, all right, good night, Nancy. Just pass out. Next day, my friends are like, yo, how was she in bed?
How was it, dude?
I was like, what are you guys talking about? She wanted a place to sleep. They're like, dude, are you a retard or something? Yeah. So that was my early days.
Yeah, man, it's bad. Yeah, I've got quite a few of those. Just like either where the girl wanted me, or just even I had this really bad one, and I actually started writing a book recently. I think I brought this up when we talked last week, but I started writing a book recently because it started off as just an ebook talking about how guys can get sexual with girls, right? Just how to be like an overall fuckable dude. Like, I call the chapter in this book, it's called The Guy Who Fucks. because it turned out that really like I couldn't just write an ebook on this. It's turning into like an actual book. And I start the book off with this story where I just basically talk about how the first time like when I should have lost my virginity, I was like 16 years old and I was sexting with this girl on an old flip phone, right? Just grainy ass images of fucking dicks and puss back and forth, right? And I'm telling her, come over. She's like, I can't sneak out, blah, blah, blah. She's like, come over tomorrow. I text her the next day at like 10 a.m. and she actually is like, yeah, come over. So I'm now walking to this girl's house in my neighborhood to go fuck for the first time. And basically once I get there, I just have no clue how to escalate. Like none. I just had no fucking idea. Do I just lunge at her and try to kiss her? Do I say like, so Brittany, did you still want to like have sex like we talked about? We just sat there and played video games for fucking hours and nothing happened and I left defeated. And then I didn't even lose my virginity until a week before I turned 20. So it was like 4 years later that I finally did. But there's a lot of shit like that. And
I love those early cringe stories. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man.
It's no idea what the fuck to do.
It's a good learning experience. I like having so much of that. I meet guys that are getting into game and self-development at a really young age, right? They're like 17, 18. They're like these young hustlers and all this shit. And I'm like, that's dope, man. Like you should definitely be on this path for sure. But I also love that like I was such a fuck up for most of my life. Because you were so bad with girls up until it sounds like what? Till you were like 22? Is that?
No, so I would say I was after around 20, I started getting laid here and there, but I was getting laid not because of myself, but in spite of myself. It was just a lucky lace where girls were like, this guy's pretty socially awkward, but he's kind of cute, so I'm going to fuck him. I was like that type of shit. Or like, oh, well, you know, I'm here already, might as well. It won't be the best sex of my life, but I've done worse. So I had like those types of lays. It was until I was like 24, 20. Yeah, I'd say 23, 24. 24 probably is when things started improving. Like I started seeing a lot of mistakes I was making. I also had one of my really good buddies who I lived with him. That was like I took a big leap there because he was a natural. So there's several things that happened around that time frame.
Yeah, it helps to be around dudes that are also fucking. Like whether it's through pickup or not, when you're just around that energy and you're not around your like fucking dork ass friends, because most people don't even it's like, if you think about it, right? This whole world, the world of like, I'm trying to get better with women, whether it's Tinder, whether it's pickup, whatever it is, like you're going to attract a lot of guys that also have been struggling with even making a lot of friends throughout their life. And so the three friends that you have, fucking Corey, Noah, and Caleb, they're not dicking anybody down. And so that energy is not even going to be in your conversations. That's not even going to be in your friend circle. So that's something I tell guys early on in pickup too, is like by any means necessary, get wings. Get wings any fucking means necessary, because you're going to have a lot of difficulty early on where you're going to want to give up. And if you just so much as even have that accountability of like, you told your dude that like Saturday you guys were going to go out, Friday you were going to go out, that'll like get you through that shit. And then you'll be able to actually like have somebody to hang out with a little bit when you're just getting blown out left and right. It's important shit.
You also need a wing who's not like a victim. That's a big issue. I think that's why the manosphere community is so fucked. It's just they're all complaining. They're all in a victim mindset. Like, oh, girls are so bad. Girls do this. Girls do that. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of men do get fucked by women. I'm not denying that. But yeah, like when you're just constantly around that, like I'm a victim, it just reinforces that. And then you're kind of just like sort of fucked mentally.
I can't fucking stand complaining, bro. I'm about to complain right now about the complaining, right? Like, it's just, it's everything. It's every little fucking thing, right? It's like my city sucks. This country sucks, right? I went with like a bunch of my friends down to Colombia recently in January, and they're fucking bitching about girls in the US and this and that. And like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, if you're not going to move to Colombia, if you're not going to move to another country, then like, I don't want to be out in the field right now with you and just listen to like how this bar sucks and all these girls are shit. You have to do the best with what you're going to work with in that moment. Would you consider yourself an overall pretty positive dude, or are you like a negative dude? What do you like?
I'm positive by choice. So I was always in my like late teens, early 20s. I was very negative, always complaining and always bitching. That was like one of the big things I had to overcome, was like a victim mindset. Like when something bad would happen, I would assume that like my mindset at the time was, this always happens to me. Whereas now it's more like, oh, okay, so why did this happen exactly? Oh, okay, so it was the fact this was within my control, this was out. So now I look at like more through an objective lens. But yeah, so I definitely was like that, and then just over time, because you can't really get good at pickup. You can't really get good at business if you're always negative and you're complaining. So yeah, so I was forced to, because I wanted the results so bad. I was forced to like become more positive, and I'm happy that I did, because being negative is fucking shitty.
It's dark. It's dark. And that is a lot of guys. I mean, outside of even what I said a minute ago about wings being negative and shit, right? It's like what you said about the manosphere, this whole red pill community, this incel community, all these guys out here where what they've done is they've decided that their whole lives they've been marginalized in one way or another by women. Women don't want to fuck them. And so then what they've decided to do is, rather than like try to be better at it, you know, it sounds like, I mean, you read the game, you started studying, pick up all this shit. Me, same story. Rather than like trying to just like fix this part of their life, they just decided to turn their whole back on it. And it's detrimental, man. And so much of it, I mean, I get all the hate comments. I don't know if you do. Do you get a lot of hate comments from incels and shit?
Some. I mean, I generally troll the fuck out of those guys, so they don't come back. But
Yeah.
For sure, sometimes. I mean, to me, it's always been like, do you really want to, it comes down to, do you really want to live like that? Like, to me, the idea, if you said, okay, you get to complain as much as you want, and you get to be part of this fucking nerdy online community where a bunch of other guys who are not getting there complaining, the pros, but on the flip side, you're not going to have sex ever again. Like, that's not fucking worth it to me. Like, no amount of like complaining or whatever, or feeling sorry for myself is worth never having a relationship with a woman. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. It's the it's what's needed. It's the polar opposite of masculinity. Like, you need femininity in your life. And I think that that's why, like, you know, I mean, I think that that's what draws so much of us to it, is like, we want to fuck. Like, I don't want to go to Colombia to see the art, right? Like, I want to go to Colombia to fuck. And like, I want to be experiencing life with chicks in my life. Which that was something
when you have a fucking big pair of tits in your face. It's like, whatever, fucking, no matter
that was something I wanted to ask you about too. I wanted to ask you, like, so for you, moving forward in your life and just where you are now and everything, what to you is ultimate happiness in regards to women? So what I mean is, you might ask some dude and he's like, I really want a fucking wife and kids, blah, blah, blah. And then you might ask another dude and he's like, you know, I just want to slay 100 shit, whatever the thing is. So for you, like, what's happiness mean when it comes to dating for you?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I would say, so at this point, the lay count's no longer a factor. Like, I don't care. Like, if I fuck 50 girls a year, 100 girls a year, 10 girls a year, to me, lay count no longer matters. So it wouldn't be that. I don't see myself getting married in the very near future, like maybe 10, 15 years from now, but not now. So it wouldn't be that either. I would say, like, more quality. Like I don't need that much more girls, but I would say, like, and not even just physical quality, like more like just meet awesome fucking girls, like girls who are like just amazing, and also girls who are doing cool shit with their life. Like, when a girl doesn't do shit, when she just like fucking plays on Instagram all day, that's a turn off. So girls who are doing cool shit, super attractive, physically, emotionally, intellectually. So meet more of those, because those are kind of rare. Met them, of course, but more rare. You either get the girl who's smart but she's not that attractive, or you get the girl who's hot but she doesn't have a pair of brains. So I want to get that, like, more of those in my life, or just do some Dan Bilzerian shit. That would be cool too. Like, reach some Instagram fame and have a bunch of orgies in my house. I'm down with that as well. Both of those sound pretty appealing to me. Yeah,
I dig it. Yeah, I found for me that I need girls that I'm going to be serious with. I don't need them to be going to Tony Robbins seminars or some shit, but like a couple of things. One, I need them to be like at least low key into self-development, right? At least like they dabble with trying to meditate sometimes. They understand the principles of like trying to strive for more and not settling for like, little bullshit lifestyles and stuff like that. I need them to be active. right? Like I need girls to be in the gym, wanting to go to the gym. Even if a girl's not in the best shape, like say that I'm hooking up with a chick that's like a little chubby or some shit, right? Even if she's not like the baddest bitch ever, if she is posting some mirror pics at the gym, that shit turns me on. Because like I see that forward moving energy, and I know that like I feel like maybe it's even primal. It's like that shows me that like, oh, that girl's gonna either like stay as hot as she is, or maybe even like get hotter with age, right? I can't stand these chicks. I'm over here on this college campus, right? So I can't. So I see a lot of these girls where like I hooked up with them when they were like 20, 21. I see them again when they're just 23, 24. And they blew up, man.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Like the hot girls I went to high school with in my small New Jersey town, now they're like just disgusting. And some of the girls that weren't so hot when I went to high school with are now like pretty fucking cute because they took care. They spent 8 years like going to the gym and they got themselves a booty now and all that shit. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think a big thing that it's one weird thing I've noticed. You can tell a lot about a girl and just a person in general based on one thing, whether they read or not. Like if a person doesn't read, I mean, I'm sure there's some great people out there who don't read, but generally speaking, like they're going to be stagnating. Like that one thing will just determine so much whether they read or not. Because it's crazy how many people nowadays don't read.
Yeah, it is for sure. I was going to say too, when it comes to chicks, right? A way that you can tell whether this girl's going to get fat or not. I don't know if you know this. I mean, you probably know this, but I got to tell the audience here for sure. It's the arms, bro. It's the arms.
She's got like the flabby arms.
So what it is it's like, all right, so you see these girls where they're younger and they might be thin, right? No. But it's like, all right, this could just be like a good thyroid kind of thin, right? This could be the young thin, or this could be like the genetically like you're going to be thin. And so what it is it's like arms, shoulders, and in the collarbone. When they have really thin arms and then like some decent tits, that means that they're going to be, I bet like if you look at their mom is probably very thin as well. It's like, it's just something I've like picked up an eye for.
That's interesting. I've never thought of that actually, to be honest, but yeah, that's interesting.
It's a big deal.
Thin arms and big tits.
Thin arms, big tits. That's the ultimate ratio, right? Because that's why like you'll have fat girls that are like, they'll be like, my tits. They talk all about like their huge boobs. And like, I don't want to be one of those like skinny girls with no boobs, whatever. It's like, slow your fucking roll. Okay. There's girls out here with thin ass arms and then they've got big tits. And those are the genetic mutants, bro.
Listen, woman, those tits are 99% fucking fat and Cheetos and shit. I want nothing to do with those tits. You can keep them to yourself. Yeah. Dude,
when these thick ass girls talking about their ass and shit, and I shouldn't even say thick. Thick is good, but when fat girls are just straight up, when they're bragging about their boobs or their butt, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. You are very out of shape. I don't want you in my life. Yeah, it's brutal. But yeah, and then what you said about books, it's good. Or just like, dude, I just need something like be into Gary Vee or something. Now, here's the thing. This is what I'll say. I also there's something where guys always say like, I want a girl that's like really driven and she's like running her own business and all this kind of shit. You also don't want a girl that is like, if you expect a girl to be like so feminine that she's going to fall into your frame, right? And just like follow you into the darkness and go with your lifestyle and everything that you want, then like chances are you don't really want some of these girls that are like the baddest bitches, like the most like peak fucking like CEO go-getter girls. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely agree with that. Yeah, because if she's so focused on that, then she's just naturally your relationship, she'll not have enough time for that. I met this chick like 4 or 5 months ago. Fucking a little bit old. She's a MILF, but she has humongous tits, like very much my type. Like just the biggest. Those tits are just fucking ridiculous.
Hell yeah.
And
send me pics.
She runs a business. She's a consultant. She works like 60 hours a week. So like, even though she lives super close to me, like meeting up with her, it's like once a month just because of all that shit. And then she's like always stressed and rushed. So yeah, there's a balance for sure.
That's what it is too. It's not even just the time. It's also like what you just said, where you said like she's stressed too, right? It's like typically the girls, I mean, and I think that this goes for a lot of guys. It's like sexually, I want a super submissive chick, right? I think that eventually when you've slept with enough girls, you end up going down that kind of like dominant BDSM road in one way or another, right? And it's like, yeah. And so it's like I've had girls where they're kind of more of that like bad bitch archetype. and they'll be like, you know, they'll just like little things. They're just like, I don't really like giving head, or like, you know, you go to just fucking like blindfold them and they're like, oh, I don't think so. Like, I don't know about all that. It's like the girliest, just most feminine chicks are the ones that are going to be like the most submissive. And that's inside and outside of the bedroom. I think that that's something. I watched your most recent video and you talked about screening girls. You were bringing up, the power of screening chicks. And I would say that that's something that I have, first off, just become very good at detecting, but then also good at just fucking screening for like these feminine, more submissive chicks versus these girls that like right out of the gate, it's not even like a shit test. It's just like, oh, you're just like talking shit because I'm a man. Like that's just like what you're doing here. So that's something I pay attention to.
Yeah, that's super annoying. I mean, I think this might be just because that's what I attract. I'm sure these non-submissive girls exist. I just never hook up with them. Like, not even by choice. It just like never happens. Like, I just always seem to somehow attract sexually submissive girls. Now, of course, sometimes, right often, a girl will be sexually submissive, but the rest of her is not. And I don't really need a girl who's like fucking, you know, I'm not like an insecure Japanese man. Like, I don't need, no offense to anyone who's Asian, but I don't need like someone who's like bows down to me or anything. But like, yeah, sometimes it can get annoying. I have one chick who I was hooking up with. Some of my fans will know this. She was in 2 of my videos, but yeah, she was like super sexually submissive. Like she was, you know, like fucking every type of fantasy known to man, being held down, just fucking like fucked everywhere, just whatever, as submissive as you can imagine. And she like fucking go on these tangents where we're not having sex about how women are superior to men and how men should like fucking bow down to women. I was like, wow. Get the fuck out of here. Like the only time we could like actually be on the same page was when we were fucking. You know, like I was like, I'm like, all right, I have to like fuck her periodically throughout the day so we never get to the part where she like fucking mouths off or whatever. So yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Something I've learned over the years that I've shared with a lot of guys is a lot of the times when girls are that way, right? It's like, so she's very, so that's kind of common. Like what you just said, even like girls are like very submissive sexually, but then they're kind of like shit talkers outside of the bedroom. And it's like, that's kind of like a common pairing actually. And what it is just like these girls just want to be dominated so badly that like they even like fucking press your buttons like outside of the bedroom, and they are that kind of way because like they're almost like wanting more of that. Like they literally like want to just like have it taken even to like the next level. You probably could have done some even worse, like fucked up shit with this girl, but
for sure. I mean, I think the whole brat thing is super common nowadays, where the girl will be like, I think a lot of guys really struggle with brats. These are the girls who are like super, super feisty in your face. They'll just like act up and shit. But they're hoping that like a dominant man will come along and sexually put them in their place. I know it sounds kind of bad, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of those. And those are the chicks. They'll be like, the guys will be like, oh my God, she's too dominant for me. I'm like, no, dude, she's just a brat. I guarantee you she's the most submissive girl as soon as an alpha guy comes along and starts spanking her. Like, guarantee it. So
yeah.
Also becomes super common, I feel like, nowadays.
Yeah, it definitely has. Yeah, especially since these girls don't think that they should be working anymore either. Yeah, that's a big part of our fucking culture now is like, dude, rap is so big now, right? Like rap is by far the biggest genre of music now that's ever existed. It's fucking huge now. And basically all of these songs are constantly reinforcing that like a job just is not cool. And so I actually really believe, I talked to my buddy about this. He's done a bunch of like sugar babying and shit. And I've talked to him a bunch about this, about how I actually think that rap has created the like, not created, but has perpetuated like the sugar baby lifestyle, sugar babies, sugar daddies, just even like driving men to be more ambitious and shit. And then driving women to feel like if I go work at fucking Wendy's, I'm a failure. Like this is Travis Scott isn't singing about a girl working at Wendy's, right? He's singing about like these bad bitches fucking shaking her ass at the whatever. And so, yeah, it's a whole thing.
I think a lot of these girls, they want the lifestyle of a rich person without actually becoming rich. That's the issue. Like, because being rich, you know, unless you're a celebrity or you're really good at sports, it involves, you know, starting a business, a lot of work, or working your way up, you know, or fucking becoming a doctor. It's not easy. Like, I mean, some people get it luckily, but the vast majority of the time, it's not easy. So they want all the perks that come with being rich, but they don't want to do the whole thing. I think it's not just women too, it's men as well, but men don't have that like luxury of being able to get a sugar daddy, you know? So women just kind of, it's almost like, I don't know, I almost think of it like you have like drugs in front of you. It's like all the time. They're always thrown in your face. You're like, oh, fuck. I'll just take a little sniff. Like, it's just like, that's almost like what, you know, being a sugar baby is like. It's just that, like, because it's so easy, so much easier to fuck some old dude, you know, twice a month and get 10,000, whatever, 10,000 a month and live like a baller lifestyle than it is to become a doctor or whatever, start your own business. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about something that you said a few minutes ago. You were talking about the girls that you typically end up with, right? About just like these more feminine girls and stuff like that. So I wanted to ask you, in your latest video as well, you had brought up not only screening and pickup and going out into the field, but you brought it up with online dating, and you talked about how easy it is for online dating. So for you, here's my question, like, do you sometimes, due to your lifestyle, only want a girl that's going to come over that's like 100% DTF, and so you might have some super polarizing shit in your bio, or other times where you're just like, you know, it's cool one way or another, I'm down for like a, you know, a date or two, you know, like that kind of thing, and then maybe pull back on the bio? What's your move when it comes to online screening for chicks in that way?
Good question. It's definitely a lot more of the latter, because I have trust in my game that, like, even if the girl's not super DTF, that, you know, I can make it happen. That's majority of the time, not always, obviously. So more of the latter, especially because some of the girls that I will end up seeing more long-term, who either become my booty calls or maybe my girlfriend, those are not, there's been exceptions for sure, but most of them, they're not the girls who are super duper DTF. They're the girls who are more like, you're cute, but can we go on a date first? Like those types of girls. So again, like, there's been exceptions. There's been some super DTF girls that I did wind up seeing long-term. I have nothing against that at all. But it's just the way, like, the cards have stacked for me in the past. So yeah, I'll definitely what I'll do is I'll screen, like, to a reasonable amount. So here's what I don't want. I don't want a girl who's super duper entitled, even if she is hot. So I'm gonna screen that out. I'm gonna screen out also girls who are super prude. So the girls who are waiting for marriage. Like, yeah, could I win them over with time? Yeah, I'm sure I could. But like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I want a girl who's also sexually open and adventurous. The last thing I want to do is fucking spend 2 months like training a virgin. Like, fuck that. I don't need that headache. So yeah, those two things. I also will screen out the girls who are super used to, I guess it kind of goes in the title thing, super duper used to getting their way. So that's why I'll always invite the girl either straight to my place, or if she doesn't feel comfortable, a bar near my place. Like, the girls are like, no, you come to me. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to go for those, like, kind of like premature sugar baby type of girls. The girls who are like 3 dates away from being a sugar baby. That's not my thing either. So I do screen. And I think that for beginners, maybe, like, if you're a guy who has a really hard time closing on dates, you really struggle on dates, then it might make sense to actually screen more. At least so you can kind of break out the vicious cycle you have of not closing. So it might make sense to actually screen the girl more, set up as a fuck date over text, and then, you know, when you come over, just a matter of, like, fucking not having a panic attack and whipping your dick out, you know? But, you know, if you're a guy who's, like, you know, somewhat advanced and, you know, you have game, or, you know, confident, that, you know, there's no need to screen as hard, because you can just trust in the fact that you can make it happen. As long as you screen, you don't want a girl who's looking for something completely different than you, because that's going to be a waste of time. But a girl who's, like, somewhat on the same page as you, you know?
Yeah, dope. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I was a long time ago, I was running this like just this straight up BDSM script on Tinder. And I was just copy and pasting it. I was in New York. It was like it was like 3 years ago now or something. I was in New York City, and I was just shelling it out, right? I got like, in this 1 week period, I got like 3 girls to come over, and one of them is like still to this day like the best sex I ever had in my fucking life. Just this hot ass Japanese girl that just loved it. It was just this long thing that, like, said I'm here on business, which was true, you know. Said I was here on business, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. But then it did end up getting my account banned around that time as well, because it was pretty graphic. It was rough.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. You used to be able to get away with a lot more on Tinder. Like, I used to have like a 50 Shades of Grey style bio. But I spent like fucking probably weeks, if not months, like honing that. Like, I would run it by girls, the girls I was hooking up with. I'm like, okay, if I throw this word in here, does that turn you on more or less? Dude, I fucking spent so long polishing that. And it was awesome. Like, it worked really well. I would get girls who open me all the time. Holy shit, your fucking bio. I would also sometimes get the girls that would hate. I had one girl who was like, your bio disgusts me. I want to tell you how much I hate it. I was like, let's do it on the phone. Call me. I was just bored that night. She called me. I let her vent for like 5 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, I was on my way to her place to smash. Like, so I had like funny stuff happen. Yeah, that was one of my little more epic stories. The sad part is that she lived at a rehab center, And when I got there, like apparently the person who was watching them had been gone for a week, and they were everyone besides her, and actually her as well, they were all whatever fucking getting back into drinking or whatever. So it's just like a rehab.
Oh shit.
Gone wrong. It was so ridiculous, man. It's like all about rehab, and they're all drinking and shit. They're all like fucked up. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, damn, that's sad, like super sad.
So she was just bored. She was just bored in rehab, wanting to text you and talk shit.
Yeah. But
that's what these girls are doing.
Question was, what was the initial question? Sorry.
Like basically just kind of wondering about what your screening process is as far as, so you did give one really good nugget, which was basically you said like, if a girl doesn't go with your flow on the date proposition, right? So if you're like, you know, my place, it's probably what you go with first. And then if she's like not too comfortable, you'll go with like a date. But if she were to say, oh, I'm over like in South Beach, come away the fuck over here to wherever, you're probably not going to do that, huh?
No, I'm not going to do that unless she invites me straight to her place. But if she's not coming to my place, then chances are she's not inviting me straight to her place. I won't give up right then and there. Like typically I will try to convince her, which sometimes I can do with voice memos. Like I find voice memos are really good for that. Like I'll hit her with voice memos. Maybe I'll try to get her on the phone and convince her that way, which I've been successful with. But also it doesn't work all the time. There's some girls who are just so used to getting their way, and they have so many options, especially in the U.S. You know, they have 25 dudes who are hitting them up at that moment. So they're just like, nah, I can get like some guy who will come to me and buy me dinner, and then I can just give him a kiss on the cheek and then go out with another guy, like whatever. So I'm not gonna go down that route.
How quickly do you move it to phone number? Like in any, like on average in a given interaction, how quickly after open and whatever, how quickly are you going for that number?
My general style is opener, then banter a little bit and get her invested. So that's the key. I don't try to build comfort. I don't try to like build value. I just get her to invest in the conversation, right? Once she's invested, so I go for the day, you know, I'll soft close. I'll be like, do you like wine? She'll be like, yeah. I'll be like, cool, we should split a bottle sometime soon. Then once she agrees to that, then I set up I'm like, okay, are you free Tuesday? She'd be like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Then once we set up a date, then I'll be like, cool, text me, or cool, shoot me your number. So at that point, that's when I move it to text. But depending how long, you know, the getting her to invest stage lasts, it really depends on the girls. Like some girls are investing right off the bat, so I go for the close much sooner. Some girls are like a little like they're giving me like low, like short answers. So I know that even if I can get them agreed to meet up, they'll probably flake. So I'm gonna try to get her invested a little bit more. So just that part will largely depend. I've had interactions where it was one screenshot from opener to number and meet in that one screenshot. I've had some that are like 30 screenshots, so it just really runs the gamut. Yeah.
Damn. So when you talk about getting them invested, you just mean like, I always call this conversational contribution. Is that what you mean? Like just kind of, they're not giving you the one word answers where you're like, how was your weekend? And she doesn't just say like, good. It's like, if she's like contributing back to the conversation, like, good, how about yours? Blah, blah, blah.
I want to get her writing. Ideally, I want to get her writing paragraphs, but at least like sentences where she's like, what I can tell. I mean, a lot of it has to do with length, but also just I can tell she's like really getting into the conversation. Yeah, like what you said, she's actively putting her energy in the conversation. Because that's going to make it so much more solid.
I heard the Call Her Daddy girls recently. Have you ever listened to that podcast? You know who they are?
No.
Yeah, it's just these two ratchet chicks up in New York, and they're just always talking.
Dude, I know what you're talking about. My roommate actually told me about that one. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've never seen it though.
Yeah. So they're good to listen to. It just I always recommend those girls to guys because like it just helps to hear girls talk about like their ratchet sex stories, right? They hear us talking about it all the time, but it's good to hear girls that are like, yeah, like I sucked this dude's dick in a fucking bathroom at LeBain and whatever. It just helps like, oh yeah, girls do like having sex. But dude, I heard
some of the girls that have like these group chats with their girlfriends. I've seen those group chats, dude. They are ass fucking like even naughtier than us. Like it's insane. Like that shit will blow some guys' minds. But they're like literally talking about how big that guy's dick was and how he slapped her across her face, how she secretly liked it because of her fucking daddy issues. Like it is not like. So then we had sexual intercourse. Like
Yep. These girls are just fucking, and it's, you're not allowed to be that publicly, right? And then you even shame men that are that way publicly. But that's why too, I always like to remind everybody about this, dude. And like, whether it's fucking online or whatever you're doing out here, the coolest chicks are gonna be sexual, and they're gonna like sexual humor, innuendo, all of that shit. Like, end of fucking story. It's like
100%.
when have you ever had, like, I mean, maybe you'll have like good sex with like this like boring ass chick, like that can happen. But overall, it's like these girls, when you're out at the club or online, the ones that are like just being shitty and they're almost like offended by you asking, saying something sexual or whatever. It's like, that ain't it, chief. Those aren't the ones that you were going to even have like the best time with anyway. It's like the most badass bitches. They're sexual girls. They like joking about it. They like fucking, they're into it. So the Call Her Daddy girls, they were roasting, and this was kind of like a wake up call for me a little bit, actually. They roast dudes a lot. They roast girls all the time, probably more girls, but they were roasting guys that have too many photos of them like modeling, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have too many post pictures.
Bro. And I was like, oh, fuck, I do way too much of that, dude. Like Instagram. I'm back on Tinder now because of fucking coronavirus. But I typically don't do any online dating. But just in general, I'm in these countries, I'm in these cities, and I'm like, here I am, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I have my fucking assistant. I get in front of like this beach and I do like this pose and I get like that pic. And I didn't even really think about it, but these girls, they were roasting it. They were like, what are you, like a fucking model? Like, when I see too much of that, I'm like, okay, you're just like, you're obsessed with yourself, like blah, blah, blah. They were roasting it. What I wanted to talk to you, I told you, I want to talk to you about like photo philosophy. Do you have a couple of those, but not too many? Do you have ones where you're with other chicks? What's the deal with pics?
Let me actually comment on what you said, because it's an important point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That is very true. And I actually kind of discovered this lesson when I first started doing coaching. So I would have, this was way before the product. I was just doing coaching. And most of like 4 out of 5 clients I coached, they got the results that I thought they were going to get. But they're like 1 out of 5 did not, maybe they had like a 10, 20% improvement, which, to me is like a disappointment. Like, I want them to like really fucking, have a night and day difference. So I was getting those and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, yo, these are high quality pictures. This guy looks good in the picture. No homo. Like, what the fuck is the missing variable? So I was like, okay, well, I have to start asking my booty calls, because most of these guys don't really have women in their life. I'm gonna ask my booty calls on feedback on my coaching, because I need to like make sure that these guys are, are getting, having success. And every single time, like, I think every single time, literally, that the client did not have the results that I thought he was going to get was because I picked too many post pictures. It was that, like, the girls would be like, yeah, he's good looking. These are good pictures, but he looks way too post, so I would swipe left. And some of these guys were way better looking than like jack dudes. And the girl would be like, yeah, he's hot as fuck, but too many post pictures, that's a turn off. That was the feedback every time. So that kind of made me realize how important it is for pictures to look natural. The analogy I always use is, and it sounds like a little bit of like fucking like, what the fuck, how's this going to happen? But basically is, you want to be like doing some activity and you want the vibe to be that someone who like a paparazzi popped out and took a picture of you while you were doing your thing. And you're basically trying to recreate that vibe. It's not so much like, okay, let me get this. This is a good angle. Okay, mom, take the picture. So yeah, I think that's huge, is the picture to look natural.
Bro, I love that you're fucking saying this right now, because I just had this revelation when it came to business. So like, I don't even think I've like put these two together yet, but I realize this when it comes to website photos, just like me building my brand and everything, the type of pics that I want. There's this dude, Aubrey Marcus. I don't know if you know who he is. He's the owner of On It. He co-owns it with Joe Rogan and shit. Yeah.
I know On It. Yeah.
Yeah. So I realized like Aubrey and his crew, I was like, dude, their best fucking photos that they have, it's like they're just talking to someone else at their retreat, or they're just like in the middle of this thing. And so what I realized is that my next hire is going to be a full-time, like all they do is videography and photography. So that way, when I'm on boot camps and shit and my assistant's helping out with like a bunch of stuff, I can have this other dude that like, I don't even, like you said, I don't even know these pictures are being taken. Right. So maybe that's the deal. Maybe what you do, right, is you go out and you fucking game and you tell your wing like, yo, just take pictures of me for the next hour. and you like be kind of rambunctious, kind of crazy. So you're like, you know, grabbing onto one of these girls. Maybe you're over here with like this group, whatever. Because I mean, I could see that being a really good way to almost like stage these kind of natural photos, is by actually living naturally in this moment, in this fun environment. You're looking good, and then having somebody just take candid pics.
So the advice I always give, because guys are like, dude, how the fuck am I supposed to pose for natural pics? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, how do I do both? So the advice I always give is this. It's first off, you know, dress good, you know, get your facial hair in order, look good for the picture, right? Once you do that, go out, whatever, if you're trying to get it, for, let's say, whatever, you're trying to get, like, you're in some cool spot, you got like a cool rooftop, and you want to show off that you have a cool view, but you don't want it to be posed, right? How do you do that? Okay, just fucking try to do the opposite of posing. So the guy who's taking pictures, just crack jokes with him, laugh, like just laugh, like just don't think that someone's taking a picture of you, right? Like having one of the big things you can do is just crack jokes with the photographer, because then you have a natural smile. Natural smile is almost always going to be better than like a fake smile. And also have your guy, don't take 5-10 pictures, take like 100 pictures, like take a lot of pictures, because if you go through a lot of pictures, guarantee you that one of them you're going to look natural. Just have him go while you're cracking jokes. Literally nowadays, that's what I'll do. Like when I'm like, yo, this is a cool ass place, I want to get a picture here for my Instagram, and I'll just start laughing around with whoever is taking the picture. Like, oh mom, yeah, remember that time when I was a kid and you caught me masturbating? Like, aha, like, and then just start cracking jokes, and then you know, and then I'll just have her take like 100 pics, and then one of them is going to look natural.
Hell yeah. That's a good move. Yeah. There's a difference between, what's that word? I think they call it smizing, right? So like the fake smile where you're like, okay, you know, you're posing for a smile and you're like, you know, versus like the squint, the laugh smile where it's like, you know, like just a more natural smile that's real and authentic. Yeah, that's dope. That's good stuff. So what are your thoughts on, because this one gets talked about so much. So with you being, you know, a coach, helping these guys create their online profiles and everything, do you need to have photos with girls? Should you? Is it basically almost dependent upon whether it's going to be natural or not? What's the deal with having chicks?
You don't. You don't. This is how I describe it. Pictures with chicks have some mild to moderate amount of potential to help if you do them really, really right. So for example, if guys are probably going to be thinking, well, how do you do them right? You don't want it just to be a picture of you and one girl. You want it to be a group. There's a few dudes, there's 3 or 4 hot girls, and it's not like, you also don't want to be ideally at a club. You want to be maybe at a pool party. So it looks like you just have a cool group of friends. Some of them are hot girls, or maybe it's a picture. Yeah, so that's kind of, I'm not going to confuse people, but yeah, that's kind of the that's kind of the vibe if you are going to do it. But they have a high potential to backfire because most guys are doing them wrong, and it looks like it's your girlfriend or the picture is posed, and you saw 5 girls at a club, and you're like, hey guys, can I take a picture with you? So they're not necessary. I personally, right now, my Tinder profile, I don't have any pictures where I'm with group people. It's groups in general. I have pictures of me doing shit. I have pictures of me with my dog. Like I have pictures of me hanging out, traveling. But I don't have any pictures of me with girls. They're not necessary at all.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on? So first off, would you do this? And then like, what do you think about this? And I want to finish the question. I want to give kind of the philosophy behind this as well. Is like people photoshopping their photos, right? And so initially a lot of people are like, that's deceptive, whatever. But then it's like, yo, fucking every one of these girls is out here with crazy Kylie Jenner lip kit, makeup, Botox, on top of all the actual physical changes that she's made. Now she's also even using filters, changing lighting. So it's like, I've seen guys talk about just photoshopping some shit, like maybe making their waist slimmer, you know, different stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on that happening and whatever?
Yeah, good question. You have the picture, even when you're done photoshopping it, it has to look like it wasn't altered or photoshopped. If a girl sees that you photoshopped a picture, that's a massive turnoff. And that means that you're not going to be able to make more than a 10, 20% difference. So should you improve your pictures by 10, 20% with Photoshop? Yeah, sure. Great. It's a good idea if you can do it. But if you try to go like 100%, like you're a skinny guy and you do like, you know, make yourself look jacked, it's just going to look Photoshop. You have to keep in mind, girls are way more in tune with these things. Like even if you don't see it, more often than not, the girl will see it. So I remember back when I was like kind of getting into Tinder, I was like, why don't I take my body and Photoshop like these nice abs on there? I gave it to like 4 different people on Fiverr. I'm like, well, one of them is going to be able to figure it out. Every single one of those pictures, I would send to my booty calls. They'd be like, this looks ridiculous, Alex. I really think this is going to work. This looks so fucking fake. So you can only, you can make differences. You can improve yourself 10, 20, maybe 25%. You're not going to make a drastic difference on Photoshop and have it be realistic.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's this Jordan Peterson video where he's talking about how women, when they're closer to ovulation, so what they did is like they took these photos where they did Photoshop, right? The jaw width. So, they kind of gave these like somewhat like bigger jaws, like just like not much, right? But they like widened the jaws a bit. And then like what the study ended up concluding was that women, when they're like closer to ovulation, so AKA like when they're the most fertile, right? They would be more attracted to that guy. But then the ones that were actually like farthest away from their period, they were ovulation. I'm an idiot. Whichever one. Ovulation's like a week before your period. I don't know the science, but they'd be furthest from ovulation, and they would be more attracted actually to the guy with like the smaller jaw, right? And so it was literally just like having that more masculine kind of like alpha look was more attractive to the girls that were looking for like fucking reproduction. Versus when they were further away, it was almost like having that alpha kind of nature that almost made you actually less attractive to the girl that's looking for like a nice guy to lock down type situation, right? I thought that was fascinating. And so I could see how even just small tweaks like that, like maybe like widening the jaw, like whatever, dude. Keep the lights low when the fucking girl comes over. Who cares, man? Like I said,
no girl's gonna like call you out on that. You know what? Your jaw looks fucking wide.
She grabs your face.
I just want to get laid tonight. I don't think I could be with a guy whose jaw is like this. No, I need a jaw like this big. So yeah, like you're never gonna get caught. Yeah, for sure. Like I've had there's a guy in my group who loves Photoshop, so I had him like take a crack at my pics, and he made them like 20% better.
Damn, yeah.
Slightly like better coloring, get rid of some wrinkles, like slightly extend the jaw, maybe a little bit more muscle. But again, like as soon as you start going like 50% with it, like it's a shot. But yeah.
Someone that's watching this, I mean, they might be like, that's fucking, that sounds terrible, whatever. But again, it's like, dude, how many fucking times do these girls not look anything in person like they did in their photos?
Unfortunately, way too many times. Yeah, I hate that shit. Dude, sometimes the girl, I've been legit catfished before. Like, it doesn't happen often, but I've had girls who were like one time I remember I was texting this fucking hot-ass Latina MILF, right? And she was going to come over, and then she comes, some fucking old Mexican lady shows up on my doorstep. I was like, yeah, there's zero chance I'm going to fuck you, lady. I gave her like a polite hug, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling it. Well,
yeah.
Did you really think I was going to fuck you? Like, come on.
You're like, the maid came earlier, actually.
Are you dropping off your daughter? Or,
yeah. What's happening here? Yeah. So, okay. So when girls do come over, man, we talked a lot earlier about, we talked a lot earlier about how both of us, when we were much younger, it was like, struggle to escalate. You had that girl straight up in your fucking bed that was like, I'm going to stay with Alex actually. And like, let's sleep on the bed. And you still were just like, what the fuck you didn't even know. Right.
I didn't even know she wanted it. I thought she just legitimately was sleepy.
God. Yeah. Yeah, man. And so now when you get a girl over, like, what's the process here? What are you running them through? Right. It's like, do you start off with like, hey, come over to the kitchen, how's that work? And I think this is a very valuable question because I think a lot of guys, like what you said earlier, they actually get them alone and like, it's like fucking panic attack. Like, oh my God, here we are. This was the thing I've been working towards and I'm fucked. So give guys some advice on that.
Yeah, for sure. At this point, it's become very much internal. So, like, I don't have really a game plan. But if I was to look at it, like, okay, if I was to, like, reverse engineer what I do, I'd say, generally speaking, when I first see the girl, give her a confident hug. I usually crack a joke or give her, like, a fun compliment. I'll be like, oh, damn, girl, the pictures didn't show that booty. And I don't know if I would recommend for a beginner to do that because it works for me because I say it the right way. So you don't have to do that. But yeah, give the girl a confident hug, invite her to the side. Typically, I'll always offer her a drink, let her get comfortable. I think also there's like, some guys go in for way too long. And some guys do it too quick. So let her get comfortable. Once I sense that she's comfortable, typically I'll take her on my balcony, start just shooting the shit with her, flirting, and then typically a big part of it I'll also go based off her body language. Is she sitting, like I recently put out a video on body language. So is the girl sitting kind of closed off, or is she like this? Is she very open and staring at me? So that will determine how fast I'm going to escalate, you know? There's no sense for me to go for a kiss and have the girl, you know, like turn her cheek because she's just massively uncomfortable at that point. So, you know, I'm just going to base a lot of it based off the vibe she's giving me. But generally, I'm just going to escalate, you know, like once she gets comfortable, I'm going to flirt with her a lot and build a lot of sexual tension. I'm going to escalate. You know, that's pretty effective. I mean, if you're a guy who's struggling with that, a route you can do that I used to do a lot when I was like intermediate was I would do booty massages. So like I would be like, I'd be a little awkward about escalating. So I'd be like, oh, you look a little stressed. You want a massage? And most girls will say yes. And then I have like the oil. I'd be like, oh, I'll take your shirt off and put the oil on. And then from there, you'd have to be like a total fucktard not to be able to escalate, you know, when you got your hands and oil on her ass. So that's another thing you can do. Definitely works quite well.
Yeah, I used to have a magic trick that I would do. And I did this.
My cock is out.
Now reach into the bag, see what appears.
If you jerk it off, if you suck on it, it gets bigger and bigger.
This is the magic trick. No, I had this card trick, man. And like, it's really fucking dope, actually. Even when I do it, I feel so cool. Like, it's like kind of extensive. It takes like 5-6 minutes. And then like at the end of it, when you're finally like down to this one card down and you're like, do you think this is the card, whatever? They're like, no way. If the girl's never seen it before, they get blown away by this. So I'll be like, you don't think this is the card? And she'll be like, no, I guarantee not. Because even from the beginning, she just thinks about the card mentally, right? It's like a pretty intense trick. Okay. And then I go, this is your card. You have to kiss me. And then they'll be like, okay, fine, right? Especially if it's like already a little bit on. I'd flip the card and then boom, just like go in, start making out. They'd be like, oh my God, how'd you do that? Start making out with them and then just like continue the escalation from there.
Sometimes I'll be like, if we're for like, you know, playfully debating something, I'll be like, all right, I'll make you a bet. She'll be like, what do you want to bet? I'm like, if I'm right, I get to kiss you. If you're right, you get to kiss me. And then I'll just like, I won't wait for them to answer. I'm like, all right, so anyway. And then like afterwards, like, I'm like, I guess you won. All right, have your way with me. And then, you know, like, it's just like, I think that's a good one. Something I also do sometimes, I realize this is I narrate a lot. So like, but yeah, this only works if you're doing it in like a confident, fun way. So I'll be like, and then he gets closer. As the sexual tension builds and amounts, she starts fidgeting because all she can think about is this massive, large hand. Like, you know, just do shit like that. And like, I find that works also really well, like third person narration.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. What is something that you have to have and that you'd recommend to anybody to fucking have as far as like a bedroom setup? Is there something that for you, it maybe took you a while to realize, or like you realize, or like you lost a lay because of it? Like this girl was so down to fuck and then like you fucked something up. Something about your room, the actual sex location.
Like use condoms on your bed for a girl to go from I want to fuck you to, yeah, I don't know about this room, I'm not going to fuck you. Like, you have to have some real shit, like a dead body. Like, oh, don't mind this. This was just my last Tinder date. Let's go in the other room. I can't imagine what you need to have. But generally, one thing that I personally really like to do that I think works really well, guys are usually like weary of doing this when I say it, but then they try it and they're like, holy shit, that's awesome. Is I have the Hitachi Magic Wand, which is basically like a giant vibrator. I just have it right on my night table. Like, it's super obvious when you walk in my room. Like, the only time I put it away is when my parents are in town visiting. So it's like this giant ass vibrator. And every girl notices when she walks in my room, and either they say something or they stare at it, not knowing how to say something. But either way, I'll call it out. I'll be like, oh, you ever see one of these before? I'd be like, no, what is it? I'd be like, come on, you know what it is. She'll be like, well, I can imagine, but what is it? I'm like, it's a back massager. And then I'll turn around and start massaging her back. And sometimes you can take the back massager, and like, it's such an easy way to escalate. I also used to, I just lost the move. I used to have handcuffs and shit and fucking like a paddle. I used to also have it on my night table. It works like a charm because girls get curious. I'd be like, okay, I don't even want to know what you do with this. I'm like, oh, yes, you do. I fucking like slap their ass. So yeah, that's also like a really, really easy excuse to escalate.
Dude, I'm literally about to get online and get that Hitachi like right after
Oh,
this.
you gotta get the Hitachi now. It's awesome.
That is so fucking brilliant because you literally put them in a position where they're gonna be the ones to bring sex into the conversation, right? Like they're gonna see it, and now, like you said, they're either staring at it and wondering, and so now technically you brought it up, right? But it's like they're the first ones now that have like thought about it. So that's really good.
This vibrator is like obnoxiously big, so you can't like not notice it. It's like very much in your face. It's not like a normal size vibrator that you can pretend is something else. This thing is fucking like enormous. It's like girls will be like, why do you have a giant fucking vibrating thingy on your bed? I'll be like, listen, let me try this on you for 2 minutes and then you'll understand why. Like, dude, I'm indirectly responsible for selling so many of those because girls will try and they'll be like 2 weeks later, they'll text me like, yo, I had to get the Hitachi. Like, thank you.
Get a promo code, dude. Have them sponsor you, dude.
Marketing with them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like this $7 little like bullet vibrator that I've bought for so many girls now. It's part of my lock-in process is buying girls a vibrator. They fucking love it. They love when you buy them a vibrator. But maybe now I'll have to step it up to the Hitachi. But my buddy, who he's the guy that I've really gone out with the most over the years, my main wing, he's gonna watch this interview for sure. He was telling me how he has this dildo that he uses like fuck all these girls with, right? Like he's just fucking, uses the dildo on them. And I was like, and that was the first time that I had really heard of just having like this one that you're using on like all the girls. It was like a couple years ago, whatever, because I was just buying these girls this their own vibrator each time. And I was like, do they not care like that it's been used on other girls? He's like, I just fucking throw a condom on it.
Oh shit.
So this dude is strapping a fucking condom onto this dildo and fucking the girls with it. That killed me. And then a minute ago, dude, when we were talking about like the room situation, dude, like my shit, I got like a good setup now, man. It's like, it's down to a fucking science. I've got this salt lamp that creates the perfect mood. I recommend to everybody that they have a salt lamp in their room. It's amazing. But one time,
let me look to that. I want to get a salt lamp.
Yeah, dude, they're like $20 on Amazon. It's the perfect light, man. It's like you can still see in there, but it's this awesome like pinkish orange glow. It's beautiful. Yeah, sure. And they talk about that too, but I want them not talking about that. I want them talking about the Hitachi from now on. But dude, there was this one time where I fucking pulled this girl from the club, and it was just like, dude, it was very on the whole time, like just making out at the club, like it was just an easy pull. It was barely gaming. And I fucking get this girl home, and dude, I like just totally fucking forgot that my room was a disaster. Like it was a disaster, bro. Like I was living, this is a couple of years back, man. I was living a bad lifestyle, I think. And I pull this girl into the room, and she, like, her first word is legit. She's like, "Are you serious?" She said that, bro, because it's like my bed is covered with like a pile of clothes. There's like a pizza box over here, all this shit. And I'm like, don't worry about it, whatever. And she's like, "Are you like serious?" And I'm like, shh. And I'm throwing all the shit to the bed. And dude, it just killed everything. She was not down to fuck from there. It was,
it didn't go down. Dude, it
was bad.
The last real relationship I was in, it was the story of how initially like we hooked up was pretty funny because I met her at a bar, just got her number, then went on a date like a week later. Date was like super on, like just had a lot of natural chemistry. She was like really, really into me. Like it was just great. Pull her back to my place after an hour. It's like super on. Like the vibe is like 10 out of 10, right? And then we walk inside my apartment. This is back when I used to live in a shithole. And I also had my business partner, Nitin, staying on the couch. So there was like half-naked Indian man in the living room. There's shit everywhere. We haven't had the cleaning lady in like 3 months. There's just piles and piles of dishes. There's like flies fucking having turf wars for my kitchen and shit. It's like the biggest mess ever. And I just saw the vibe go from 10 out of 10 to like a 3 out of 10 in literally like 10 seconds. Like I just saw her, and it's a good thing that I'm like pretty socially aware because I was able to recognize, like if I tried to make out with her at that point, it would have been fucking dumb. Like she would have been like, "I'm going home." Like I just saw like the panic in her eyes. Like it was just like, I don't know this guy. This place is disgusting. There's some weird half naked man on the living room. Like I don't know what the fuck he's gonna do. So I was lucky because I had a balcony, like the small balcony that was like from the apartment. I was like, "Hey, let's get some wine and go on the balcony." And then I spent like 30 minutes rebuilding the vibe. I could take her from 3 out of 10 to like at least 8 out of 10 before I could like bang her. So it was just like, and then afterwards, like, you know, when we started hanging out more, she told me, she's like, honestly, Alex, like when I saw that place, I was literally contemplating in my mind just walking out. She's like, I like you right away. She's like, but that place was too much. She's like, I was literally going to walk out. And then you somehow convinced me to go on your balcony. So yeah, so I've had shit like that happen all the time.
Dude, I had it in reverse once. I had it where I was up at my parents' house, and this was a time where I had fired up Tinder because I didn't have any like girls up there at all. Like, no way of even, dude. Like, I grew up in the country, and so I fire up Tinder. I'm talking like there's this white trash girl, man. Like, she's just fuck. She's got like an eyebrow piercing, lip piercing, whatever. But like, she's kind of hot, you know. And so I'm like, all right, fuck it, whatever, you know. Let's see where this goes. And she's like, she just invites me straight over. This girl's is very DTF, and I get to her place, and it's up in Lorain, Ohio, which is just fucking brutal. It's a bad place. And dude, I get to where her address is like taking me on the GPS, and I realize I'm pulling into a trailer park. And at first I'm like, oh man, this is fucked up. There's people like out here working on cars. It just seems sketch. And then, but I'm still just like, you know, whatever. Like, this chick's like pretty all right looking. And then I get to her crib, and dude, it's the opposite. Her place is like what your place was. Just these huge flies flying around, and then one of those big yellow fly tapes like hanging down, right? And then same shit, dishes. There's like a sheet for a wall. It was terrible, man. And I was in there, and I was like getting like completely turned off. Like, dude, I'm like about to not fuck this girl. But then, like, whatever, you know, the biology kicked in. And so I start like hooking up with her on her couch a little bit. And then she's like, here, come. And she like takes me into her bedroom. And I don't know why, but there are just papers everywhere. Like, it's not that messy in the bedroom, but there's just papers all over the floor, like on the bed and shit. And so I still ended up smashing, but that was a time where I was about to like not smash because this chick's place was too dirty.
Yeah. I hate when a girl lives in the hood, like where she lives somewhere super ghetto and you roll up.
Oh, this was bad.
You're like paranoid to get out of the car. You're like, shit, is the 5 to 10% chance of me getting like fucking carjacked right now worth the girl? And then maybe you check her Tinder profile again, like, well, she does have big tits, like, and you're like, okay, you're like fucking beeline straight for her place. You're knocking, you're hoping that she's gonna answer like right away. Like, I don't want to spend an extra second here. Yeah.
Neighbors are staring at you. Who's this?
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
We're about to smash like the hot girl on the block. They're like, damn, who's this white boy? Like, yeah.
Yeah. What were we talking about like right before that? We were talking about like the dirty houses and shit. And then but I'd ask you
when you pull a girl back to your place.
Oh yeah. So for me, so your go-to is the wine, right?
Yeah, I'll offer, like, some girls don't drink, which is fine. I'm not really a big drinker either, but like, yeah, I'll offer them a drink, either wine, or if they don't drink, I'll usually typically recommend have several different options. So I'll have red wine, white wine, tequila, and vodka, right? So it's because some girls really just don't like to drink something. And then some girls, like minority, they won't drink anything, so I'll give them water or something like that. I just think there's something about having like a drink in your hand that makes you feel more comfortable. I think it's like I don't know, like a subconscious thing almost. If you have a drink in your hand, you feel like more at ease or something like that. So
you're connecting with the other person too. Yeah. Like when you're drinking something together, when you're drinking like a bottle of wine together, dude, I've been sober for 5 years now, and that's like the thing I miss the most. My move was always wine to the porch. Wait, I want to stop this real quick because I remember now where I lost my train of thought. There was something I really wanted to add in to what you had said a little bit ago, which was something that Justin Wayne taught me. We had a system when I lived with him where we would text each other if we were like bringing a girl home. He said the worst thing, and I try to do this, like I've tried to do this for ever since then. It was like 4 years ago, and I've tried to do it every time since. He says that it's like the worst thing ever to like have a girl know that there's other, especially men, and usually if you're a man, there's going to be like other, your roommate's going to be a guy. Don't let women know that like your fucking roommate's there. He says, and it makes so much sense, and I've done this over the years, and then there's no parallel universe where I can check to see if she still would have fucked, if she would have seen my roommates. Like, I don't know. But the philosophy behind it, I think it makes so much sense, and I wanted to share this because I want to give this advice to anybody watching. Like, so we would text each other like, yo, hey, I'm about to pull. Hey, I'm pulling in about 20 minutes. And all that meant is like, you know, be in your room, you know, in the next like 20 minutes or so, or don't be there, whatever. because the girl is just going to feel way less at ease knowing there's like another man at the house. That could be a safety thing. It could just be like, you know, maybe some trauma from her past. And she's like, oh God, what, there's this other guy, like, you know, there's that. And then also the girl just wants to feel like, you know, a big part of what we're trying to do by gaming these girls a lot of times is even trying to overcome sexual repression. And a lot of girls have a big thing about being heard. So you've probably had this. Any guy that's been laid a decent amount has had this, where the girl says like, do your roommates hear me? Does your roommate hear us? Does your roommate hear, like, you know, whatever your situation is, the girls say that. And so if they think that you guys are totally alone, so you would text your boy and be like, hey, you know, hey, I'm about to have this girl over, you know, keep it down. You don't have to do this with regulars, but especially when it's a first time pull. And it's just something I've done over the years. I think it's a really, really good idea for guys to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's like a good baseline principle. I think once you get to a certain point, like it becomes less important because you're just trusting yourself to be able to handle situations. But yeah, it's like if you're a beginner, intermediate, or like even like you're just been on a bad streak, yeah, it can't hurt for your roommate not to be seen. But there's also ways, like for example, like in the times that, you know, a girl who whatever came over, saw my roommate, she's gonna be like, I don't know, what if your roommate hears me? I just like say some like ridiculous shit. I'd be like, no, he goes to sleep at 8 p.m. So he passes out. Like nothing will wake up this guy. I'll be like, watch, we can start screaming right now. He won't wake up. And the girl will be like, oh, okay. Like it doesn't have to really make sense. Like
yeah.
Oh no, he does his prayers from 8 to 10 p.m. So we have 2 hours. Like we're good. Yeah, he's gonna be listening to Jesus on the headphones. Like we're okay. So yeah, but for sure.
The best shit is like, cause you know, sometimes it's like right now, for example, I live with, there's like fucking 4 other dudes in my house right now. And they're all guys I met through pickup and shit. And so I haven't been able to avoid this always, right? I'll just bring a girl, you know, maybe it's a same night situation. Like, you know, I brought the girl through and like someone didn't get a text or I didn't text anybody, whatever. And the best move is for them to say like, are your roommates going to hear us? Dude, that's when I'll just fucking cover her mouth and like move to the neck. Like I'll just, that's when I'll like start kissing on her neck and like cover her mouth. And that's a great, like, dude, again, most girls want to be dominated, really, you know, like to anyone, you know, any fucking feminist that's watching this, like he covers her mouth without like asking, right? Like these chicks.
If you're a feminist and you're watching this, you know it's true.
If you made it this far, yeah, you need to get a fucking life. You made it this far to the interview. My God, Vice is watching right now. No, but yeah, it's just a good way to just, you know, if they say like, oh my God, can your roommates hear me or whatever, you know, just fucking cover the mouth and just start like biting on their neck and shit. They love it. And it's a good little screening for, you know, again, seeing like how much they are going to be into like getting dominated and shit. And it's hot. It's
you actually made me remember a pretty funny story. This was like 3-4 years ago. Yeah, I was pretty solid at this point, but I still had, you know, some occasional hiccups. This was when I was visiting. I lived, you know, with roommates or by myself, but usually every summer I go for a month and visit like my mom, where I grew up in Jersey. So I was in town and I met some girl on Tinder. She was like a foreign exchange student or something like that in my small Jersey town. Went on a date, and she actually took me 2 dates to pool. She was like pretty conservative and shit. And the second date, like it was just like everything was going good. I convinced her to finally come back to my place. And then as we were about to get in my car, she asked me, she's like, you live by yourself, right? And I just like wasn't thinking. I had a few drinks. I'm like, oh yeah, just me and my mom, her boyfriend. And then something like that. Maybe it wasn't as blatant, but I just said something dumb. And then she's like, no. She's like, no, Alex, this is not going to work for me. Like, and then I was able to talk my way out of it. I was like, listen, 100% chance my mom is asleep right now. Our house is humongous, right? Like my mom is going to be passed out. Like, trust me. And like, I had to say this like 20 times. She was like, are you sure? I'm like 100%. And I remember, dude, I'm like, okay, I just got to get her straight to my room because I know my mom actually stays up late and she like fucking drinks wine with her fiance. So I'm walking in and literally it's like my mom, her fiance, they got a bottle of wine and they're like kind of busting like, hey, Alex. Dude, the girl runs out. She like beelines out of my house. It was hilarious. And then after that point, there was nothing I could say that would get her back in. Like, I literally just like swore to her that there's 0 chance she's gonna run to my mom. And it's like it's not even just my mom; it's her and her fiance. They got like wine and shit. They're like a little rowdy. Hey there.
Damn. Yeah. Well, fuck. So that one was gone forever.
Yeah, I was gone forever. Yeah.
Fucking A, damn. Yeah, I miss drinking with chicks. That was my move, was to drink on my porch. I realized very early on in game that there was a huge difference between saying, come drink at my place, hang out at my place, watch a movie at my place, versus like my porch. I noticed it. It was a big deal where these girls, they just like, they knew they weren't going to have to, or in their mind, it's kind of like a safety net almost, like, okay, I'll agree to that because if I don't like him, like we're outside, we're in public. It's like it's a safety thing, I think. And plus it's just cool hanging out outside.
My go-to line is my romantic balcony or my romantic patio. And if you think about logically, like, again, not that anything bad would ever happen to a girl in my place, obviously, but like, if you think about it, like from a perspective, like, what if this guy's creepy? Like, whether you're on my balcony or inside my apartment, it's the same exact shit. But I've noticed, like, cross top, same thing. Like when I say my romantic balcony or my romantic patio, it's like girls are much more compliant than when I just say my place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been playing around with the idea of drinking again this summer. I'm not 100% sure yet whether I'm going to do it or not, but I'm about to hit 5 years, and so it's definitely something I'm considering. But we'll see what's up. You're not that heavy into it. You just like here and there, just drink a little bit.
I don't like to get drunk. I'll socially drink, so I'll drink 2 reasons. First of all, I've had like sexual problems when I get like too drunk. Like I either can't come or I have a hard time getting hard. I don't want that shit to happen again. So that's one. And two is I get like really bad stomach aches when I get drunk. Like the whole next day is going to be like shot for me. I'm going to have like just a lot of stomach pain. So for those 2 reasons, I don't get drunk. I'll drink like 1 or 2 drinks. Actually, something I've been getting really into that I've talked to my audience about is, I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called Kratom. Kratom. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I know there's different ones. There's like ones that bring you down, like more chill, and then there's like upper Kratums and shit. Like, you're into that?
Yeah, I love Kratom. I find it so much better than drinking. Like, I haven't noticed any negative effects. There's no hangover. There's no like whatever stomach ache. There's no headache. Whatever. There's no like nausea, and it doesn't like have any like with alcohol you can make dumb decisions. Like, you shouldn't drink and drive, obviously, but you can take Kratom when you're driving, will not be impaired. Like in terms of sex, it actually makes you last longer. So it actually makes sex better instead of like, increasing the chance for you to get limp dick. So I just find it's like such a better alternative to alcohol.
I was just thinking, like, I give a girl a fucking White Claw and then like I'm brewing some shit. She's like, what's that? And I'm like, it's Kratom. Like, I'm just going to get fucked up off Kratom. I heard about it years ago before it was popular because a girl that I was hooking up with, she would smoke it, which I don't think, like, I don't know anyone that does that now. The Kratom tea is what's popular. And she had a big bag. It was like the straight up plant, like not the extract or whatever. And she would smoke it. And I was just like, what is this? She's like, I'd never heard of it. And she's just like smoking it. I thought it was so weird, but yeah, man. So I wanted to ask you too, as well, just because this is something that we talk a lot about on this channel. And from our last conversation that we had, I kind of put 2 and 2 together that you started, I want to talk about TRT. You started TRT what, like a year ago?
Yeah, right about a year ago.
And was that about a year ago also that you said that you've like gotten really serious about fitness in the last year or so?
Right around that time. Yeah. It was probably like a few months before I started TRT.
Okay, so these 2 things kind of like really lining up for you. So was there something like in your life that you just decided like, I want to go full fucking, like I'm going to go all in on this shit? Was there something that you just was like, it was like, I'm going to reach this point? Like, what was it?
There was a few things. I've always wanted to, well, first of all, my dad was a bodybuilder. Like, so yeah, I always saw pictures of him, when he was like at his prime. And he's always been super into gym. So that was a small part of it. But also just like right around the time I was 23, 24, I was always super skinny, dude. Like I was the kid that was like 140 pounds. So I was like super skinny. And so I just thought it would always be like really cool. You watch movies like, whatever, Thor, you see like these jacked dudes. I was like, holy shit. Like I want to be like one of those guys. Like watching Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, I was like, fuck, like I want to look like that. So that was a part of it. But I think the big catalyst was about a year and a half ago, I got Lyme disease, and it caused me to lose massive amounts of weight. and also just my hormones crashed and shit. So I was like maybe 155, 160 pounds. And then at my worst, like when I was like just getting started on treatment, I was 135 pounds. And then I would just look at myself in the mirror and it would just be disgusting, dude. Like I'm 5'11", 6 feet, 135 pounds. And literally just my bones were sticking out. So I was just like, it was just like such an extreme that I was like, I never want to look like that. Like I never want to ever look like this again in my life. Like this can never happen again. So I made a commitment. I'm like, I'm going to work out like whatever, 6 days a week. I'm going to train, eat, and sleep right. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if I don't feel like it, like I don't want to ever be like this fucking bony and skinny and shit. So yeah, that was probably the big catalyst when that happened.
So would your hormones have bounced back naturally after the Lyme disease was healed, or like was it like almost permanent damage to the endocrine system?
No,
I don't know anything about it.
In theory, they would have bounced back ultimately, but no one knew how long that was going to take. It could have taken, a year or two. It could have taken 5 years or something like that. Like, and my natural testosterone levels before Lyme were never that amazing to begin with. So it was like my baseline was like always like average-ish. Like, I wasn't like I had a great baseline. And then this thing just brought me down here. So I was like, okay, well, I can wait several years or whatever. Like, it wasn't, who knows how long to, go back to here, or I can just in a month or two get here. And, I researched it. I'm like, okay, there's no downsides. Like, as long as you do it responsibly, women, what I'm talking about. So, I was like, there's no downside. It seems like pretty much like a win-win. So why not?
Yeah, for sure. Something else I wanted to talk to you about. So what did you do before playing with fire? This is something I always find interesting to kind of like find out. What I would like to ask is, first off, what you did before, but then also like, when did it become full time? Like, just talk about that process. I love talking about kind of like the business side of this whole thing.
Sure. So before playing with fire, I was in sales. I had been between the age of 23 and 27. I worked in solar sales. I lived in California. I was really big into the solar industry, and I was just doing sales. And I was pretty good at it. Like, I had numerous promotions and shit. Like, at one point I was like training other people how to do sales. So I had a good job. I worked a lot, but I had a good job. I was happy with it. They're making good money and all that shit. And then what happened was at that time, like, I think right around 27, I just like was getting laid on Tinder. So I just wanted to like share my stories. Like, just want to get some internet validation. I was like, so I created a Facebook group I think it was actually someone else that came up with the name Playing with Fire. And it was just literally friends and people who knew me. And I would just post my stories. That was it. It wasn't trying to promote it. Wasn't trying to sell anything. I thought I was going to be working in sales forever. I didn't think I was going to maybe start my own, solar company. I didn't think I was going to, work in this industry. And then basically what happened was, after a few months, the group grew through word of mouth, and I would have people occasionally would hit me up and they'd be like, hey man, like, I really like, how you get laid on Tinder a lot. Can you take a look at my Tinder profile and coach me? And I was like, sorry, bro, like, I work full time. I don't have time for that. They're like, well, I'll pay you. I was like, you're going to pay me for that? They're like, yeah, I'll pay you like whatever, $50 an hour. I was like, oh, I can't say no to that. So I was like, okay. So I started doing these coaching sessions. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I actually enjoy coaching these dudes. Like, it's like, I saw each one of them as like a problem that I had to solve. So it's like, I don't know, it just kind of challenged me. So I was like, all right, this is kind of fun. And then right around the time I was getting, adding coaching into like my, coaching was like my side hustle. Right around that time, that company I worked for went bankrupt due to some poor decisions by upper management. And basically I watched myself and, 400, 500 other people be out of a job through no fault of our own. It was like upper management made some dumb choices. And as a result, we all lost our jobs. So to me, that was like very, after that, I made a pledge to myself that I was never going to go into corporate America or even work for anyone else again. Because I never want to be in a situation where someone else's stupidity could cost me my livelihood, Like, I was lucky because, I had unemployment. I had, I had some money saved up. But, like, I didn't want to be in that situation ever again. So I was like, okay, whatever I do next, it has to be within my control. So if things go wrong, it's because I made a bad decision, not because someone else did. So at that point, I was like, you know what, let me just go all in on this coaching thing and just see where this gets me. Like, I didn't even really think it was going to work, to be honest. I was like 50-50, like, we'll just see what happens. And then so I started, taking a lot of coaching clients, doing that. And then ultimately I realized, okay, if I want to reach people, I can't be trading my time for money. I need to come up with a product that basically summarizes everything that I would teach a person, one-on-one. So that's kind of how the whole thing started to evolve.
Dope. That's what's up, man. Do you plan on doing this forever?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to keep growing and expanding. So I want to expand. Like I want to go from just, like I've already gone from just, it used to be just purely online. Now I've gone into like other topics like regular game and fitness. So I want to keep expanding, like all around general, like no bullshit, actionable advice for self-improvement. I want to, grow my channel from whatever it is, 5,000, 6,000 to, 1,000,000 subscribers, like kind of wide reach. Start doing like seminars, like just do shit that like actually makes a giant impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe 10 years from now, I'll want to get involved in another business. I'll never work for anyone else again. Like anything I do, it has to be my thing.
That's what's up. That's a good mindset. And I think too, it's like that same mindset that you have that you have with playing with fire and just growing it and then not wanting to work for anybody else. It's like, that's the mindset you have to have with chicks too. It's just that decision that like, hey, because, you probably, when you started off doing game, it probably wasn't the best situation. You're probably having a bunch of like weird nights, weird days, all that. And it's like, I always say, I think we brought this up on our last interview too, just talking about why a lot of guys fail. And it's like that not sticking to it. It's the same thing with business. It's the same exact thing. A lot of these guys, they just, they end up just giving up way too early. And so I think that's the mindset that you really have to have with everything.
There's unfortunately like a pain period. So with playing with fire, I don't think a lot of people know this, but it was at least a year before I was actually making like enough money to get by. Like the first year was just like while I was, when I was doing the one-on-one coaching sessions, because I wasn't like charging that much, I was charging 50, 60 an hour. When I was doing that, it was literally like, it was nothing. Like I wasn't able to get by on that. I just had unemployment coming in from my other job and I had some money saved up. But, I had to sell my car and shit. It wasn't until like I actually came up with a product, which took like a solid year to fully write, market, like, get it right. So it wasn't until then that, I was able to like even like get by, so as to speak. So there's that like pain period. And there was like so many times when I was writing the product where I would get like extremely frustrated. I would be like, fuck this shit. Like I would like get mad writer's block. I would just sit there for hours to write 2 words. I would just get frustrated. Like, it's frustrating. Same thing with game. Like I remember initially when I was 19, 20 or whatever, trying to figure this shit out. It was so frustrating. I was going to go out, it's getting like almost no results. It's like that massive pain period, which is unfortunate, but you have to get past that.
Yeah. And all of the best do business, game, everything. You have to plow through that shit. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah. I started doing $90 boot camps. That was my first fucking offer. Literally just this.
Days? Was it just one day or?
It would be one night. Yeah, it'd be for one night. But dude, I will never forget fucking Raj, the first kid in Columbus, Ohio, who I got off my pizza job, made some good tips that night, like whatever, it was like a good night. And then this dude handed me $90 to like teach him how to go do game. I was like, holy fuck. It like blew my mind. And then just slowly but surely ended up making enough to go full time, quit the pizza job. And then, just gonna pretty much do this till the day I die.
Dude, when I was a kid, when I was like 12, I would walk dogs in my neighborhood for $1 a walk. I would take these dogs for like a 45-minute walks for $1. That's how low I thought of my value. I was like, I'm willing to do anything to like have a business
to get $1. Yeah. Well, fuck
like,
it.
Dude, most of the neighbors were like, dude, we'll give you $5. Like, go get yourself some ice cream, kid. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So we'll close on this, man. Thank you for being on here. How can people find you? On YouTube, it's Playing with Fire, correct?
Yeah, thank you for having me. On YouTube, it's Playing with Fire Dating. We'll link everything. We also have our forums, which is if you want to get like help from me, that's the best place to reach me or just ask me questions. It's forums.playingfire.com. And then my website is playingfire.com. We have a lot of free tips and guides on there. Like a lot of value. We give away a lot of shit for free. So there's a lot of good stuff on there. We just recently came up with a free online dating ebook. So it's like, like a much shorter, more condensed introductory version of my product. So we have that, so a lot of free stuff. Just check out my website or the YouTube channel or the forums.
Cool. Well, hell yeah, man. This was a great talk, just like the one we had the other day. So
this is a good interview. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, go check out Playing with Fire, and we'll see you on the next vid.
See you guys later.